And actually do it, stop
How you
recording.
doing?
You're all set. You're on.
All right.
Okay. Hey, Larry.
Oh, yay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the December 16th meeting of the Harwich Housing Committee. Present, we have 4 out of 5 members. We have Ellen, Matt, and Art, and me. And then we have guests, Brendan Lowney, Larry Valentine, and select board member Anita Doucette. So may I have, if you all check the minutes, I did not get to the December 8th minutes. But I do have the minutes for October 13th August 13th and October 30th.
Okay.
So if I could have a motion to approve those with any changes.
I have a correction.
Yes.
You spelled my name wrong. On the October 30th.
Oh, on the October 30th? Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it probably did in the middle somewhere, because
Yeah.
like I said, I used AI, so I very easily could have missed
Okay.
something. So
As long as we make that
we will
correction,
correct.
I'm good.
A second then,
Name.
after the correction.
Alrighty.
Second it? Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Alrighty. Now, she's not online. Brianna, sent in what she's up to, and what she's gonna want us to work with, but I can put that, aside since we have the Affordable Housing Trust members here. We'll start with you and then I can do Brianna after.
Okay.
If that's all right. So if you gentlemen want to join the table, or...
Sure.
I don't know about Brendan, but I didn't prepare any formal remarks.
I-
You had a good discussion. I had to leave a little early the last meeting. As another discussion on affordable housing, side discussion on that.
There's
But,
always a meeting on housing.
But as you know, and Anita, thank you for being here as well as a liaison to bring this back. But we've been looking for some time of how we increase our cooperation between our two organizations, because we're looking at affordable housing, but we also need other housing as well. But as a committee, we want to be sure we stay in our lane. With that, we, as we talk with real estate and open space on properties may be available, some of those may come to our attention, some may be more responsive for you to bring to the select board to consider purchasing, and is there some way that we can use that for whatever the popular term is now, attainable housing,
Yeah.
or I keep track of, I lose track of what the
Attainable workforce. Pick your
Mhm.
poison.
the term we need to use. And then I'm also been, and we have other programs as well, that we should look at together, whether it's buy downs, whether it's rental assistance, or tax, we have some tax, but should we? One of my big questions I've had in the past is, can we work together and help funding efforts? Other towns have raised funds outside of CPC, which limits us to, and outside of our charge for affordable housing, to grant money or donations. Other towns I know closer to Boston have survived quite nicely in raising funds in that way. And I've even played around with the idea that we now have town meetings approved transfer of stabilization funds a couple of years ago into affordable housing. And we have cell tower funds as well. Maybe we should look at at parsing that out a little bit differently. I haven't talked about it to our trust committee about that, but maybe maybe instead of 100% of that going to affordable housing, maybe we go to town meeting with, you name it, a quarter or a third going to a fund to help other programs for attainable housing. So I think that's a big discussion. So I'm kind of speaking, I always do this. I speak, my mouth is working faster than my brain, but I'm throwing some ideas out that we could work together on. Because we should be cooperating.
Right.
We should be, our goal is the same.
Exactly.
The only difference is the income level, right?
Is what's after the A,
Yeah.
affordable or attainable.
Right.
Um,
And we have just one other comment, there are options coming up with the Seasons Communities Act
Right.
too.
Yeah,
That a lot of those, there's been suggestions on, a lot of it makes me nervous because there are so many items in there. I hate to get political, but my fear is it'll go all to bureaucracy and we won't see a dime of it.
oh, no.
So we gotta be sure in saying that, we have to be sure we get, understand those programs as they become finalized and get our name in, going forward. I don't, before, let me, while I have the floor, be sure Brendan, he's being unusually quiet, I'm not used to this.
Well, let me,
Yeah, well, I can, oh, go ahead.
let me discuss some of the things Larry brought up first. So that's exactly what Brianna and I decided and what we decided at the end, that we should be doing attainable. Unless the trust asks us, hey, can you help us with something? Or the select board says, hey, can you look something completely different up for us? Other than that, we will be focused on attainable, working with you and Brianna. As terms of funding, if it's anything that comes through you as your charter is written is capital A affordable. But one of the things that Brianna and I have been discussing and we're hoping to get on town meeting is a year-round housing fund. And that's where percentage of the money, the cell tower money and the stabilization fund, that's where that could go to work on the attainable money. There's also at the county level, they're working on a transfer fee, which a town could opt in to have anywhere from 0.5 to 4% taken a fee added to a sale price over at least $1 million. It can't be lower than $1 million. And that first $1 million, or whatever the town decides, some towns might decide 2 or 3, whatever the threshold is for the town, that money is not, the fee is not charged on that. So if you sell a house for $1.5 million, you will be paying 2% of $500, not $1.5 million. But that's another way that we're trying to get the money. The reason the county is doing that, aka me, is because there are other people in Barnstable County that want to do that with 50% of the money going to the towns and the other 50% going to some regional entity, which I don't want to run at the county. I don't think anybody wants to pay to set up a new regional thing. So it's one of the things that's being worked out, but it's definitely opt-in for the towns, and the way we wrote it, towns are basically in charge of everything they want to do, whether it's just personal, whether it's commercial, all that. So that may be another way to get money. And then in terms of the Seasonal Communities Act, it doesn't really give us money, but it does give, you were doing research on this,
I
weren't
did
you?
do it. I
Yes,
have
then
a
I
bunch
will
of
let
notes.
Ellen take over the seasonal community.
So you can apply for grants. So they allocated 2 million for fiscal year 26, 2 million for fiscal year 27. The deadline to apply for fiscal year 26 is January 9th. So we have missed that because you had to be a seasonal community by December 10th. So the range that I saw in the example that they gave was minimum of 50,000, max of 175,000. We given, I mean, I think they had Chatham at 175,000. They had Nantucket at 175,000. I would think we would be comparable with that. So if we decide that this is how we want to go, we could apply for grants for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Sure.
a plus.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely.
And it,
But, let me, excuse me interrupting, what did they use the grants for, do you recall?
they can, basically, they were,
Reason I'm asking is,
Yeah.
you could look for grants for housing, but you could also use for grants for traffic help.
Yeah.
you,
As-
you
as
might
part
be
of
able
that-
to do that.
Part of the
if it-
housing,
if-
because that's a
If it's
big
tied
issue
in, I
here.
believe you can do it,
Yeah.
yes.
It has to be really tied in.
You
Yeah.
really have to
No.
make the argument,
It has
yeah.
to be like,
It's just such a big issue, I'm
I
just
think,
looking for,
but,
I'm asking the question.
So, right, and can I do that as a takeaway and get back to you?
Sure.
Okay.
yeah. I wish I knew more, so I
No.
just keep asking
No.
questions.
You know, grants for traffic study, housing related.
But in terms of regulations from seasonal communities, I don't think there are many, are there? And they're
Nope.
not onerous.
It really wasn't. The requirements are, adopt bylaws to permit undersized lots to be used for development of
Right.
attainable housing, year-round housing, and single-family zoning. You've got to comply with municipal floor area ratios, comply with Title V, cannot be used as seasonal or short-term. Short-term's defined,
Right.
less than 6 months. Also to allow construction of tiny houses, which is 400 square feet or
But
less.
it's allow, it doesn't say you must.
And you can
What did
apply,
what did it work?
you can apply for a waiver for some of this stuff. They have a seasonal communities advisory council. So you would have to apply for the waiver through this council,
Right.
which is, and the people that sit on the council are, state senators, state
Right.
rep.
Julian and Hadley
Right.
are on it.
Exactly. So, it's, if we can opt in, opt out,
Yeah.
it's something to consider. I mean, I
Right.
definitely think we need to do a pro and con list and go to the select board with that, maybe?
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
Brianna did a lovely presentation, you
She
saw, so we can fill that out. But I think what worries people about seasonal communities is, like you said, well, what happens, what if we do it and we don't get any money? We don't put any money
Well,
into seasonal communities, and it's just a matter of a few things that we should allow, and basically the only difference is between this and the Homes Act is the bylaws for undersized lots for attainable, not just affordable. But what it does give you is then you get to designate, this is municipal housing,
Right.
and this housing is for artists. And it gives you more tools to be able to spend town money on workforce housing for the people you want to live here. And starter homes, there's a starter homes.
Starter homes,
Starter
I
homes is
remember.
40Y, yeah.
Oh, that's
so
right,
that's
that's
different,
right.
That's
yeah.
a different 40Y, yeah.
So,
So, I mean, and just to expound on that, I mean, part of why I joined this committee is because I really wanna try to help people that, you know, the first responders, like, they should be part of our community. They shouldn't be coming from, you know, towns away and working these shifts and, you know, where are they gonna live? So if we can do something to
Yeah.
help.
I'm on the board of Outer Cape Health Services, and boy, housing is a major concern.
It is.
Yes.
But let me, Brendan, I keep talking, but
Yeah.
one question. I'm trying to understand the process, because if we, the town passes a seasonal communities, and then we talk about, name it, higher density, you know, laws. That doesn't happen automatically. It still has to go to town meeting as a zoning, correct?
Right.
And so why couldn't, we could do those things without the Seasonal Communities Act, right?
because the minute you sign seasonal communities, you can get to work. And in fact, the zoning changes, I believe, may not, I think some of them will not have to go through town meeting. A lot will, but.
Yeah, I'd like to understand that process, because
Okay.
if some of these require zoning, what stops us from doing that now while we decide on seasonal, whether we want to do it?
Right.
What stops us going ahead and trying to sell that town to do something? I guess why are we waiting then?
Right.
Make a long story
The problem
short.
is, like, I know you're not allowed, year-round housing fund. You have to go through a home rule petition to get that done.
Yeah, I'm talking zoning changes.
Right, but even zoning changes, I think I think there are zoning changes that can be made without going to town meeting, or that can be made with only 50%, not a majority, but we will,
I
don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to understand that,
Yeah.
understand that process,
Yeah.
because I hate to be waiting for a decision on seasonal communities for something that we could do ourselves that would help us on the housing.
well,
Right.
there's not,
So that was the point of our meeting that we had, where I think this is a great topic for you guys to dive into. Not saying we've got our hands full, but it would be nice if you could be the masters of this subject, seasonal communities, and with Brianna and the 40Y, I know she's got a good handle on that as well. But I thought it was a great thing for you to tackle, because it's a lot of information. Dive into it. Does it benefit Harwich? Does it not benefit Harwich? And the question that Larry brought up, and Elizabeth, is there a different way to do it? You know, is it just a simple bylaw like the multifamily? You know, is it governed just by the planning board and not ZBA? Whatever the situation would be, and find out how other towns did it, that would be amazing.
right.
Because there's a lot of information out there. I know both are still in draft mode with the Mass General Law, so,
I mean, that's the main problem is, for the past 3 months, I've been hoping to come to every meeting saying,
Yeah.
all right, so these are the final things.
and
Yeah,
it might
this is-
take you a year to figure it out.
And what
Just so you know.
this was the quick review, but what I saw, it just addressed single family zoning, so that was in their requirements.
I dove into it a little bit, I know a couple weeks
That's
ago when I
right.
was talking with Anthony about it, and I was reading Dennis town meeting minutes, like when they were accepting the designation and just seeing what people were talking about. And I don't know if this is completely far off, but I think the thing is, you don't, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't have access to those funds unless you opt in, and so I think kind of, we haven't seen the final regulations of it, but tying in is if they're gonna have those, if in there you're gonna have those zoning changes, are you not gonna get funding for a project relevant to that if you don't accept the designation? And it was just sounding like a lot of towns were, you know, like, oh, we apply, let's accept it, and I don't know if you can just opt out right away if it doesn't work out, or what the deal is,
That's a
but
great question.
when I was reading Dennis, I know the topic came up because one of the things was being able to give a tax cut for residents, because they still had to get people to
Yeah.
come out and vote and increase that from 35 up to, you can go up to 50% now. But Dennis, when I was reading their town minutes, they were the same thing. They were confused on kind of what it all entailed, and just kind of saying, we need to accept this to be able to get access to the funds. and kind of just telling people like you have the possibility of getting a tax break, but
Right.
Yeah, some clarity in what we can
Yeah.
do with and without them, I guess, is my question.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
See, the problem we have that became apparent at the meeting we had the other week on the Seasonal Community Act, it's hard to defend something, I have to admit, if you don't know all the facts, and all the facts haven't been published yet. So, you know, we all know, that there's a headwind here.
Yeah.
And if you go before the town annual meeting, and you try to defend something that you and yourself don't have all the facts,
More
well,
difficult.
it's not gonna
It's
go
not
well.
impossible. No, you're very right.
Yeah. So if other towns have just, jumped in and, a wing and a prayer, so to speak, God bless them. But I don't think that's gonna happen here.
Not in our.
I think the timeline kind of thing for that as well is the towns are seeing what's going to be kind of finalized and accepting that designation so they don't miss a cutoff.
Right.
Because when that comes out, oh, we're not going to have time to get on it and use it
Yeah.
in time.
Well, that could be, but we're coming up hard to the
Yeah.
town annual meeting. I mean, it's like, I know it's in May, but May comes up
No,
really quick.
deadlines come really quickly.
And to get a warrant article together, say if it would take some time, and it's gotta be vetted and all
And it
that.
sounds like we've missed this year's cutoff anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we have.
So
Oh,
it'll be
yeah.
next year's
Yep.
when in that case, in that sense, we have some time to sort it out.
Yeah.
But
And I also think
But-
Brianna was, sorry to interrupt, was chatting with the guy from Brewster as well, because aren't they the other town that hasn't
Brewster
accepted?
is the only one that has not accepted
Okay.
out of.
Because I talked to
least
her.
Out of outer and lower.
I think
I
it's
thought there was
us
more.
and Brewster on the Cape.
Okay.
And
I'm
everybody else
correct.
accepted it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That could.
And I'll have to
Yeah.
touch base with her again. I spoke with her last week. I think she was talking with who's running things over there in Brewster to kind of get an idea on what they're thinking. Because I think she was saying from the start that person had a good idea and was kind of watching what happened around town. And so it'd be good to get an update on that.
Yeah.
Because if they're the only other town with us, okay, what are they? Are they kind of talking about the same thing, or were they just seeing how it all play out?
Yeah,
Right.
we can help educate each other.
Yeah.
Right. 'Cause, I mean, I get wanting to know what you're signing up for.
Right.
And,
Mhm.
y'all know me. So I have twice gone up to Secretary Augustus and let him know I am not
I just
pleased.
don't want, I don't want to not do something because if if we're waiting for something that we could do ourselves anyway, I guess
Right.
that's my point. Because
Well-
we need
There's-
housing.
There's not much.
Yeah.
We can't designate housing for municipal workers. We can't set up a year-round housing fund.
Right.
Well, I think the easy lift is the cell tower funding. I mean, I would think that would be I'm just guessing here, compared to the Seasonal Community Act, selling that idea that split those funds up somehow,
Right.
whether it's by percentage or whatever.
If-
And
then-
part of it goes to a housing fund.
Right.
You'd have to
see-
you have to create that. So very similar to what
You
Providence.
have to create
You
unless
have-
you're seasonal communities, you have to create the year-round trust fund through
Yeah.
a home rule petition to the legislature.
Well, even without the seasonal act, you'd have to create the fund first.
Yeah.
You have to go to town meeting and do that, then the following year you could put money into it, basically.
Yeah, so.
But you're taking money from the Affordable Housing Trust, so keep that in mind.
Right.
It's a hard no on this side of the table.
Yeah, but there
Just so you
are
know.
things we can do with it
It's
that
it's only
you
two people in
can.
town that know
I'm not,
about
I'm
that.
not speaking for the trust, I
Right.
just threw that out. and talking-
Sorry, same here,
Yeah.
same here.
There's only a handful of people that know about the cell tower funds.
But you
And,
can get CPC funding and we can't. So,
No,
we'll have this
You could
discussion in here.
you could though if you had.
No,
My point was,
CPC
we
can only
should,
go to 100, it still has to be.
Well, no,
county
I know, but if you
affordable.
had a program that you wanted to do yourselves, you could do that.
Well, you
my,
can,
But
my
CPC
point is that you could, my point is that we should look at, you should look at some other sources of funding.
Right.
You could go to town meeting and ask for a specific motion. Budgets are tight, so whether that would pass or not.
yeah.
Right.
But other towns have done that to create a fund for housing.
So Larry, you're saying if they come up with a plan to help, let's say 140% AMI, that was their goal, they could just go right to town meeting
They
and,
could always ask for
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
We can always ask the town for meeting.
yeah, it's
We
interesting.
can't-
Whether it's fly or not, who
Why,
knows?
why
But I
can't
mean,
we
I-
create the fund?
We
Yeah,
can't, I
yeah.
don't believe we can create the fund unless we do a home rule petition. I believe
I'm
that's
not so
what
sure about that.
Provincetown
I
had
wanna
to
check
do.
that.
I
I'll double
researched,
check.
I would,
Anita, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you know that though,
I hate to pick on you. If we create a fund, is that a home rule petition or can we create a fund?
I would say, I wouldn't, I have a feeling, but I'm not gonna say it.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, we
as
could check that.
I'll double check.
my-
I recall that
My point was,
Provincetown told me
Yeah.
they had to do a home rule
okay,
petition.
well,
yeah,
that, and so we
but
you can start that.
I may be misremembering.
It's up to you guys, but I'm just looking at, if we're gonna actually go for attainable housing, we need to have
Right.
a mechanism of doing it. And it's not clear, maybe if we need a home rule petition, so be it. But I hate to wait another couple of years for seasonal to come out if that doesn't, we could do two things at once. You could
Yeah.
approach both of them, whoever comes first, you tie into that.
there you go.
Right. But,
You know,
yeah.
other towns
Yeah.
have created funds. I mean, Chatham has created, where they
And-
take
And I'm just
individual
looking at,
donations to
Yeah,
a
and-
housing
Right.
fund.
as has Provincetown,
Right.
Provincetown.
But
they've
Mhm.
done that too, so there are
And I'm
examples of
gonna
them
call-
doing that.
I'm gonna call P-Town again and find out.
It's
because
how
I
they
think
set that
did a
up.
home rule petition. I think I have the
But you
petition
know,
somewhere on my
if we're
phone.
serious about housing, we should start asking those support for it, basically.
Right. Alrighty. So I think
And
that's
and
covered
Brenda and I don't agree
seasonal.
on everything, by the way.
Say it again? Yeah.
Anybody, I mean, nobody should, there should be nothing that everybody agrees on. Or at least until you discuss it and come to it.
Oh, yeah,
It
but
makes
it's fun
me
to,
nervous when everybody's like, yeah, sure, what the hell? All right, anybody have anything else to say about seasonal communities?
So we have
No.
takeaways.
So yes, we have
Learn
things
more.
we're going to look up that
thank you
I
for
will
doing
do.
that, that's a tough subject.
That's
to
great.
really
That's
get.
good stuff.
It's fine.
And
Okay, so now Brendan brought us lovely little,
And before I go into that, I have two requests, if I could sneak in real quick. The overview on the website for the Housing Committee. I know you have a new charge. Is there any way to update that? Only because,
I'd love to.
because it does say that, I'll read it to you. It says about you helping out with the 10% goal recommended
Oh,
by the
yeah,
Commonwealth
no,
of Massachusetts.
that's
No,
ancient.
yeah, let me just finish this thought. If you're looking to go in to be the 100% plus group, I think redoing the overview or creating the charts the next time you meet with the select board. I don't know, I know you do it
No,
annually.
we have a great charge.
Yeah, I know
that's
you-
all set. I just cannot get anyone to tell me how to get it on the website.
Yeah,
I have
so-
been trying for 5 months.
And I believe that was voted on at the select
Oh,
board
yeah,
meeting when you
it's
gave it.
all, it's all good.
And then the
It's
se-
ready to go.
Yeah,
I
that'd-
just can't get it on the website.
That'd be great for just clarity, so people understand what the two groups are doing. And then secondly, I mean, the word attainable, when Elizabeth and I were going to all these forums, attainable came up 3 years ago. And when I reached out to the Cape Cod Commission, they had a different view on their regional strategy on that. And it was more of an all-encompassing term. So still feel free to,
Yeah, what do they use?
meaning whether it's 30% AMI to 240% AMI. So what they were trying to do is just replace the workforce wasn't a great word, lowercase wasn't great either. So there's a paragraph on I think the third or fourth page that you can read when you look through their regional strategy, and it does explain the word attainable. So if you just read it, maybe have some more
Yeah.
clarity to it, because it says these terms have regulatory definitions, which is affordable in workforce. Workforce was tied one time to a fund that the governor had. So what it does, in work-term housing excludes a portion of the population that may not be in the workforce, but still needs assistance assessing safe and sustainable housing. It also incorrectly implies that those in affordable housing, capital A, are not in the workforce. So
Right.
it, to me.
So I thought that's why we had all,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
so,
housing
so,
community had picked a table.
yeah, I think that your charge could still be helping 30% to 240, and maybe your focus is leaning towards the other thing. But I think the word attainable is really replacing affordable lowercase a. So this way people aren't confusing the two terms. That's all. That's all I'm saying. But I'll let you
Yeah,
handle that
no,
charge the way you
I'm
see
not
fit.
sure. Yeah, no, our charge has been voted on.
Okay.
and It's just a matter of honest to God, I cannot get anyone to tell me how to put stuff on our website.
Do you want me to help you with that?
Yeah, I'd love to know. I've got all this stuff I send them that I, you know.
You want just clean,
That
whatever
I'd
your
love
charge
to
is,
put-
can you send me the charge?
Yeah,
That'd be great.
um,
Okay, and then the document you have in front of you, what I did was, throughout this document, I put hyperlinks after each paragraph so you can, and I sent you an email as well.
Okay,
So-
you can send, you're gonna send me an email with this too?
Yep, so you have that. So you'll be able to just head right to it. So the first one is, and this is information that I go to, I mean, I probably go to it every week, all these documents bouncing in and out of them. So the first one is the subsidized housing inventory. This is the updated, where we are in the town, we're at 5%, and that's 329 units. So that means we need 329 units to get to the 10%. And just to give you some quick numbers, Penrose is at 60, Pine Oaks 4 is at 242, Bell's Neck is at 10, that's the West Harwich School. Fire station, no, with 203 Bank, the fire station is at 3. So right there in the next 5 years, hopefully, we're gonna come up with 315 units. So we're gonna be very close to that 10%,
Well-
and that's also gonna put us into a potential safe
Right.
harbor situation.
but don't forget, Pine Oaks is 10 years. It's gonna. take
Correct, I'm
for
just
all
saying, but
those
it's
units.
in motion,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
whether it's 10, correct, thank you for correcting me on that. And then also, there's a map of the state, and if you just click below the map, you'll get to this page. This page is really handy to understanding the inventory list and
Oh, yeah.
what other towns are doing. And then below that, I started, we talk about 80%, 100% AMI. The term that's used a lot, and you'll see it highlighted, is low to moderate income. And you'll see that under the 40B, and then if you turn the page,
Right,
I put it under definitions that's found under 40B. You see low to moderate. It starts appearing, and then when you get to 44, section 55C, the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust Fund, this mass law was how the town accepted the trust. So
Right.
if you want to go see how a trust is to be formed and how we did it, and then you'll see low to moderate, what our charge is. And then if you go down to chapter 44B, section 2, and this is in the CPC or the CPA, and you get into definitions. And this is when you first find 80% and 100% tied to low and moderate income. There's also a section about senior housing as well.
yeah.
But that's when you start seeing, low income housing is 80% or less, where moderate is 100%. So that's where you first start seeing the definitions, which I thought was interesting for everyone to at least try to find.
Oh, this is great, Brendan.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so the next page, and also don't forget the hyperlinks are right there. So when you're reading this, you should be able to jump right to it. I think I forgot to put that oh no, it's there, it just didn't activate. But you can copy and paste that one. And then the next page, you'll see the 100% is the moderate income housing.
Right.
So now you know where the terms come from. So yeah, you could talk 100%, 80%, but the terms that are really used throughout all the mass documents is low to moderate housing.
Right, for
And then-
affordable.
And then next, this is a form, when you look at it, it's like, from 2019. But this is a guide. And this actually breaks down a lot of information. Now, it's a lot of pages. So what I did is I took the pages that are pertinent to what we're doing here. So community housing. And this really talks to CPC and how they operate the Community Preservation Fund through a committee. And so I gave you those links, the pages you can go to, and you can read some more language. But now you start seeing 44B5, and you see 4455C. That is the document that relates back to how the trust was formed on
Right.
page 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So you'll start seeing that populate everywhere as you start reading through these guidelines. And also here, you'll see low to moderate income housing. When we jump to the next document, and the next document actually talks about, and this is from 2014, so don't be alarmed that it's 2014, it's old. This is the current guidelines for
Right.
40B comprehensive permit. And what's interesting about this is, and I put the pages so you can see it, affirmative fair housing marketing. You know, what is that? I'll give you an example. Fire station wants to do the affordable units, they go to HAC. HAC is going to create the affirmative fair housing marketing plan. That plan goes to the state. They say, fantastic, it comes back. Then HAC produces the lottery, it's given it to the developer, and they start selecting their tenants. So within that, you'll have language like local preference. So page 45, local preference. I highlighted some lines down here where it says, local preference may not exceed 70% on the first
Now,
round.
just as an aside to that, should we pass seasonal communities at town meeting, I believe if they haven't gone through with the lottery, if all the paperwork hasn't gone through, at that point, I believe the firehouse might be able to rent it to municipal, to firefighters, to name it municipal.
Well, they're already in motion, so they're going.
Right, but it's still paperwork.
Well,
It's a long
I
time.
think we work on newer stuff.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's possible, Brendan.
Yeah, no,
That's all I'm saying.
that's good to know, that's good to know. And then local preference, I highlighted a couple of items, the 70%,
Right.
is in the first round, second round, 70% on the preference is in the first round.
Yeah. we can
And there's
do it.
also a stipulation, if you read down more on that, it talks about minorities, and if there's not the correct percentage in the original 70%, then there's a separate pre-pool that's done, but you can read more into that if you have any interest.
Yeah,
And
that's a
then-
big problem.
What I highlight on the next page is local preferences. And, what does that really mean? It means current residents, municipal employees, employees of local businesses, and households with children attending schools. So those are the four, preferences that you get. So for example, we'll use Penrose, there's 60 units. The percentage there is 70%, so it's 42. So 42 units will be up for local preference. And that leads me to my next page. So this is the HUD info. This comes out every spring, and what it does, it sets the fair market rents and also does the income limits. So I just copied and pasted, but you can hit the links and get more detail. So this is showing, who are we helping? It's, if you go down to the income limits document, the second graph, 80% AMI, someone who makes $74,800. That's who we can help with a one-bedroom studio apartment. And for example, I know the numbers from, some of the hack numbers from Five Bells Neck and the fire station. That's roughly that $1,800. Now, also, when you get, it's a little complicated, but when you get into the fair marketing plan, the utilities have to be included. So that person getting a one-bedroom apartment, let's say that it's $2,003. And you're like, wow, that sounds like a lot for a one-bedroom, but the fair market value would be $2,500, so there's a $500 savings. But that is for someone making $74,800. And if that sounds like someone you want to help, we're not talking, we are going to be helping 30%, 50%, and so on. But it's really set up, especially the fire station and Five Bells Neck, to go up to 80% AMI. Now, the Penrose project, there's different percentages. Some are 100%, some are 80%, and that can get confusing. But as long as it's an average, I believe,
The average is
of 60 or 80%,
Yeah,
it
that's
all
the
qualifies.
average. So if you, the more
Yeah.
30s you have, the
Yeah.
more 100s.
And then one other thing, when you look at the median income, 124 for a family of four, be careful. If you start taking, if you take 124, 100, and you times 80%, you're not going to get the number. There's another calculation, the way they come up with that number. So it's not exactly 80%, so don't try to spin your wheels. It's about 3 pages of how you get to that number. So it's not truly an 80% number, but you can go down that rabbit hole if you get absolutely nothing to do. So
Where are you getting that they have to pay that the developer has to pay?
So the way it works, from my understanding, we recently did on 2 projects. I was helping the fire station, Five Bells Neck. So when the landlord does it, you have to include the utilities. So that is the number. So you back it out.
Okay.
If the rent is that, you back it out. So, like for example, I know John's units are the 18 that's going on last year's number. I'm sorry, the 788. The developer's going to project the utilities, meaning electricity and heat. They'll project that number, and it comes up to 2,000. Just happened to come to $2,003. I just happen to know that number, and that's what the units are going to go for.
I'll check on that.
So it's all inclusive.
Because I know the the housing authority, our tenants pay their own utilities.
Do they go through a lottery? It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
it just
I'll-
depends on how.
I'll
Yeah.
double check.
And keep this in mind. This is the local action units. So this is
Right,
40B.
This is all the 40B.
40
and
lip.
Capital A affordable
Right.
stuff.
Right. So
Right.
yeah. So this leads to where I'm going to next. When you have the LIP, so you have 40B. Everyone knows 40B. Then you have the LIP, the Local Initiative Program. This was a program that was started because prior to this, state law defined low to moderate income housing as any housing subsidized by the federal government. So towns weren't really working with developers to do anything on the private side. So what the LIP did, it allowed towns to work with developers, whether they're using state funds or not, and you could do this friendly, what they call the friendly 40B. And that's where that language comes from. Units have to be under 80%. There's other language. But take a look at that, the highlighted marks as well. I'm just giving you a quick overview of all. I know I'm talking real
great.
fast,
No,
but
but it's good to have.
Yeah, and then, like I said,
explanation
these-
what every term means, so that
Yeah.
when people say, "Can you explain this to me?"
Yeah.
and we can say,
so, and then when you get to the local action units, this is what the fire station in Five Bells Neck did. So what's unique about this? Well, this is projects that were done by right. So Five Bells Neck, they met the setback requirements. They got waivers through planning. They didn't have to go through ZBA, or let's say ZBA did grant it. So they're not really going through a comprehensive permit. So this is a little bit different. The paperwork is a couple of pages as opposed to yay, but it still has to have the affirmative fair marketing plan. It has to have a regulatory agreement, and it has to be 80% or less to qualify to get on the shy list. So both the LIP and the LAU under the 40B is driven to get to 80% or less and to get the town on its shy list.
Right.
The last page are the trust docs. And this is if you, like I said, want to get into it. What I did is I just put the bylaw, everyone knows where that is, but there's a hyperlink for that. The chapter 4455C, I just put that, you could see how we were formed. And then if you're curious, I don't know if this really exists on the website, but the Declaration of Trust, you could find that at the land court. It's very easy to find. So we have 3 documents that really govern us: is the bylaw, chapter 4455C, and then obviously our trust docs, which is pretty much our operating agreement, how we
Yeah.
operate.
Your charter.
So, just something, like I said, I go to these documents all the time.
Yeah, no,
So
they're very,
if you have any questions, that's a great way to
they're
jump to.
very, very helping, and I see it talks about inclusionary zoning, which is
Yeah.
something else I'd love to get on the ballot this year, but I don't know, Brianna is stretched very thin. But if we could get inclusionary zoning on the warrant,
And the reason why I thought this is important, because there's a lot of information out there, and as projects come ahead, it'd be nice to have more of us talking so people can answer the questions, what 80% means, low to moderate. If we're the specialists, then let's be the specialists.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And
It
the
could be
local
important.
preference is always a big subject, so.
Yes.
and what I noticed, and what I noticed at Pine Oaks 4, there was a lot of questions about affordability, and the ZBA, it's not their wheelhouse. So,
Right.
we could probably help out with that. And I reached out to Mr. Sullivan to tell him as if he ever needs any affordable questions, because sometimes they get bombarded and it's really not in their purview, sometimes. So there you go.
Excellent.
Right,
Thank
no,
you.
this was great,
That's
thank
great.
you, and I
Thank you.
think we'll try to
Good.
do this for attainable.
There you go.
And, because, together we can do things. By the way, both Brianna and I checked, Brendan, and you do have to do a lottery.
So
Above.
I spoke to her, and the language we got from, so we're talking about when we get to 100% AMI, they said typically you do, and the reason being is sometimes the 100% is tied into bigger projects, so it has to meet the requirements and it has to fall to the lottery because it's qualifying against the 30% on the average. So I'm still working on that, but we did get some answers from Hack today, and they said they use the word typically. I just want to vet it out just a little bit more.
Yeah, well, you do, because otherwise you would have to create or have the trust go through everyone's income statements, make sure that they're making 100% AMI, whoever the leasing agent is.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing it by lottery, but it's 100% AMI unit, somebody is gonna have to go through all of their paperwork.
I agree with you.
Make sure it's 100%.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't.
Yeah, so for example, when you do a lottery, usually Hack will charge, let's say the rent's $2,000, they'll charge you $2,000 to do that, but they have a minimum of $10,000.
Right.
So fire station in Five Bells Neck, they had to pay $10,000, and like, well, why? And the reason being is that their 3 units at the fire station, they could get 600, 700, 800 applications. Hack has to vet all of those, exactly what Elizabeth just said, and then present that. So that's why, the fire station and I believe Five Bells Neck came back to us for a little bit extra money to help them with that assistance, and we were more than happy to do that. So
Yeah, because somebody's got to do that, and it ain't gonna be us.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be Brianna.
yeah, I think if you fix the charge and you guys go after it,
Brendan,
I think you guys are in good shape.
our charge is what it is.
Yeah.
It's been voted on. It's fine.
Yeah.
And just somebody needs to tell me how to put it on the website.
I'm gonna personally do that for
You
you.
know, I've tried. I finally learned about
Good.
agenda dot and minutes dot,
Yeah,
but I don't know how to do anything else.
we'll figure it out.
All right, thank you both
Thank you.
for,
Thank you.
for being here.
Our pleasure.
Do any of the,
Yeah, you guys have any
you
questions?
guys have
No,
anything
it was great.
else?
It was
There'll
really
be a
All right.
quiz, there'll be a quiz next meeting.
Oh yeah, I got to quiz myself. I just know where to find it. After all these years, I just know where to find the documents. I don't memorize it, but you just have to be
Right.
able to find it. And this
No,
might be a
that's
good
very-
cheat sheet for that.
No,
And,
this
and I'm going to use this myself.
Yeah, it's great.
Because I dig through it sometimes, and this is going to be good for me as well. So
Yeah. No, thank you. That's,
thank you guys.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
thanks for inviting us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
thank you. I mean, you're welcome anytime. You know, I like having
Yeah,
people.
I know you guys have another 2 hours of discussion, so we're
No,
going to
we
bail
really,
out.
yeah, we really.
See ya.
See you guys. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy
Oh,
holidays.
same to you, yeah.
So the next thing is we're going back to Brianna, who is still technically the housing advocate, but in public, I refer to her as the housing coordinator. I'm sorry, but we're gonna go before the select board soon about that, because, she needs a real title. And everybody else on the Cape is either a housing coordinator or a housing, or director of housing, depending on staff size. And, so I do think Brianna's title should be changed to housing coordinator, because that's the professional term.
Yeah.
Housing advocate sounds like me standing out town hall going, housing, housing, housing. You know, so, but anyway, so from Brianna Powell, she, has put, as we said, put the draft warrant article for seasonal community. So she'd like us to help educate people, as we know who the trust is. So I believe that's gonna be number 1 on our hit list over Christmas. And then something that Larry mentioned, I forgot my other notes for Brianna, but she has got a phone call from somebody who owns a house in Harwich, whose house is affordable, apparently, who's going to sell it and wants to know, okay, fine. So, in looking into that, we're wondering, You know, if you guys have any thoughts of, should the town buy it? Should the trust buy it? Should we just put a pay him to put a deed restriction on it? There are various ways to handle keeping an affordable house affordable, or making any house affordable. You know, there's that veil and deed thing that I said where they pay you $100,000, and when you sell the house, it goes with a year-round deed or affordable deed. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts
Well,
or which way to do
If
it.
it's gonna be affordable, I would approach the trust. They have the money and they can write a check right away. On the other side of the coin, if you approach the town, they won't be able to find a checkbook. They don't have money.
Yeah, right.
The town doesn't have money. Just, so, and they're gonna point the fingers right away at the trust because they have money.
Right.
If it's gonna be in the affordable category, definitely, and they could, you know, if it passed muster, whatever the condition and whatever requirements they put into it, and then of course it depends on what the price is and, you know,
Right.
That's what I was gonna say. And what's the house? You know, like what's the
It's 3 bedrooms, I
price of it and everything?
think. All right.
Seeing the condition of it, what do they have to do to it to?
so it could be a modified buy-down program,
Mm-hmm.
which means anything, whatever your mind
Right.
brings up, you know?
Yeah, because what do you think? One of my ideas, but I'm not sure this would work, is not necessarily. She said it's got an affordable something on it. She doesn't even know what it's called. It was done in like 2009 or something.
Well, then it's gonna have to go deed
And-
restricted.
Right, but does it have to go? What I want to know is if we can make it year-round instead of affordable, or would it have to be both? Because I think 3-bedroom house, that's a family we want to keep here.
Yeah.
They probably have 2 jobs, so they probably would make too much money for a capital A affordable house. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
what we really want is we want to keep families here year round. So is that possible? I don't know.
Well, I think what you gotta do is you gotta explore, first of all, is would the trust be, you know,
Right.
interested in it? And if they are, then you sit down and kind of craft something. How do you answer those questions? But I would take it one step at a time. I wouldn't get bogged down in too much detail right now.
Okay. Any
You know,
other thoughts on
I mean,
something
if
like
it's a house that, you know, it's 50, 60,
So she reviewed whatever the deed restriction that's currently in place? There's no
No,
deed restriction?
No,
Okay.
she's getting it, I think. This was just somebody called and said, hey, I think my house is affordable. She's like, okay. So
mean,
I
she
think
could-
she's
she could
exploring
go to
it.
Mass Land
Yeah,
Records and
yeah.
look all that stuff
Right.
up, yeah.
But, you know, if it is
Yeah,
a house that has, you know, an affordable thing on it, you know, what else do we think needs to be done? You have to look it up, right?
yeah, I think we have to look at the actual
Yeah, see.
restrictions, see cause that could have all sorts
Oh,
of
God, yeah.
things on it.
Right. And real estate wise, how does that impact? If you're selling a house that has a deed restriction on it, whatever the restriction is.
Value's down. Depends on what it is, typically. I mean, that's the only problem I see with deed restrictions and implementing that is you could have some people, I mean, who go towards that and say, I don't want to do a reverse mortgage, I'll sell it and get my money into the deed restriction, and then from there you're kind of tainting the value of the home. You're going to have people who want to come and move here and they say, I'm not going to touch that. I can't do it. You know what I mean? It'll never go away. But
Now,
as for-
Habitat does it. They sell their houses. I mean,
That's
Yeah,
what
but
I
that-
see.
over, you know.
But that's a
Not everyone stays in a Habitat house forever. And even forever comes up, at some point it gets sold.
No, but down the line, like 20 years,
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but if
somebody
it's
wants
got
to
a
buy a
deed
house, someone
restriction-
might sell. Like we're doing one now, the person won't buy it because there was no clarity in the deed, and this was over beach rights. If someone looks at the deed and their attorney's looking at it saying, hey, you know that there's a deed restriction here, depending on whatever it would be, it turns the people away for sure.
Yeah,
Well-
it shrinks your buyer pool.
But that's true. But you're selling it to a person that, you know, they need to buy, if they want to buy a house, and they're going to be buying at a certain level.
Well, that's that's something different, is that does the trust buy it and then control
Yeah.
the thing, or do we just, does the trust, wait, there's two different ways to do it, and the way you just said, tell me what you just said, I lost it.
No, he's saying like people will come in and buy. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But then you, on the flip side, that kind of hurts. Like, so if somebody's, I mean, there's always two sides. Someone's been living there, they bought it, it was affordable for them, they go to sell it, they're not going to have, after years, they're not going to have that same
That's right.
equity gain. They're going to
That's
Right,
have to keep
they're
it.
limited, their
that's
equity is
right.
limited.
They're-
The
Yeah,
caveat
okay.
is you forego that
Right,
for the privilege, or whatever you want to call it, to buy an affordable house. And I know a lot of people wouldn't understand that, but a lot of people would. I mean, everyone going into a Habitat house understands that house has to stay affordable in perpetuity, forever. Long after you've gone, whatever.
Yeah.
right.
And it will appreciate, but not at the same levels that the market does.
But it'll still be
But I mean, you
guaranteed,
you
you'll
will
probably
get
sell it
you
for
will
more.
get back what you put
You can
into
only
it.
sell it for whatever that deed restriction, so that, I mean, I think she's gotta see who placed the deed
Right.
restriction, because
Um,
a lot of it, the ones I deal with, you are limited.
So there
you
was
know,
Are you
you're not
limited
gonna
to, if somebody bought a deed restricted house for 200K, then they can only sell it for 200K?
You can
No.
sell it for a little bit more, but you're not getting market value for
And you're
it.
not going to get
No,
your money.
Yeah.
I know that, but
It's usually there's a formula as to what
Yeah,
you
there
can
is a
do
formula. You
for
can-
however long you've lived in the house. So I think the longer you live in the house, but it's by any means, it is still meant to be affordable, so it's
Right.
not gonna be
No, I-
a huge gain at
Right.
all.
um,
But they got into the house, which was affordable,
right.
which they would not have been able to afford at a market level, market value, they
Right.
couldn't touch it.
exactly, so
So,
that's why,
Yeah,
you know.
but
so-
there's probably a monitoring agent or somebody who has to monitor that.
That's what I'm wondering, so
Yeah.
can you find out about the money, since you're the money lady?
Well,
What do you mean about the money?
Meaning if they got not affordable, if somebody buys an affordable house, cause this
Yeah.
is gonna come up many times,
Well-
hopefully in the future. If somebody buys an affordable house, capital A,
Yeah.
for $200,000 and they live in it for 20 years, and then they're ready to move on, as long as they keep it capital A, if it's got the capital A deed restriction, are they limited by anything other than the market to what they can sell it for?
that's right. They are limited.
They are limited,
They
yes.
are limited.
They
It's
will be
written. It's written
limited.
into the deed.
Oh, so
Yeah.
they can't,
No,
even
no.
if somebody's willing to pay
No,
$600,000
no,
for a
no,
deed
do it.
restriction?
No.
Ah,
I mean-
So
And-
there,
and-
that, whatever that formula is, keeping in mind, it is to maintain affordability, so it's not gonna be a lot of money.
There was one in the last week or so, I heard her advertised on the radio. It was an affordable house, I forget what time, it's around here somewhere. You can go to Hack, they would know.
but even if somebody's,
No, the deed,
oh,
Yeah.
because,
And a lot of these,
because,
a lot of
because
these
it's
are
not
lottery
just,
too. A
it's
lot
not
of,
Yeah.
just on
Yeah.
us is what,
the deed
all right,
writer.
you guys fixed me.
yeah,
Cause I'm thinking about like, as long as you're keeping the deed restriction on it, that's great, but I'm thinking like a year-round deed restriction. Capital A affordable, nobody's gonna be able to spend 600 grand on that. I get it
And
now.
and usually with those, it's a primary residence anyways, it's
Yeah.
not,
Right.
Yeah.
you have to maintain it as a
So
primary
I know
residence.
recently Habitat they sold two houses, not that two.
Yeah.
There was, I know one over in Paul Hushway in Brewster. A couple bought it. In fact, I worked on the house back in 5, 6 years ago. And he went in business for himself, and his business exploded. He said, I'm making too much money to live here. And he said, we're moving on. And they turned it back to Habitat, and Habitat sold it, and he got what he had put into it, plus whatever the percentage was on top of
Right.
it, and they moved on.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Alrighty, now,
So-
now it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alright, next, unless anybody has anything else on that topic, let's go over our annual report,
Okay.
which I just did that draft. Which is basically last year's report with a slight update, in the hopes that you guys could help me make it better. No, it's not great.
I think it's very well written, obviously. And the only comment I would make, and it's a positive one, I would sign off with a big thank you. And it means you thank everybody and his brother.
I forgot. Thank you for your support. Thank
No,
you
you
to
just,
someone
the-
specific,
the-
or
the-
just,
the people that
thank you.
basically helped us do our
Okay.
job, and you can list them or make, like, well, the
But then
big
if I
one, you're gonna
list
say
them and I
Brianna,
leave
I mean,
someone out, they're
Right.
gonna get
Yeah.
pissy.
a big help,
So,
everything we tried to do or wanted to do.
thank you to
the house-
to Brianna, the members of the select board and the members of the Affordable AHT
Trusts, right?
for their,
And maybe,
for
the
their-
town hall in general, I don't know,
for their,
looking for information and stuff
you
like
don't wanna
that.
say
No, it's just an effort.
Collaboration?
Thank you.
Collab. There you go.
Beautiful.
So,
Alright, so we got that. Other things. Other updates, changes, take things out, this sounds stupid.
No, I think just the focus on communications and then other ways of funding as Larry was saying, because that was a good point that he said, trying to bring something in front of the town, but still the seasonal communities thing, I feel like we have to know what's going on with it, because if all the towns are opting in, and if we're either missing the boat or, waiting and playing it safe.
So,
No, that was just a thought.
no, I mean, no, I think,
Yeah, and
I
I
think
think the
you're right,
fact that
that's
it's
what,
draft is what's,
Yeah.
is kind of what's,
so,
kind of souring. Maybe
Right.
that's not the right word for it,
Is
but
that the just changes they're making,
Right.
still not the final?
yeah. And
Exactly.
when at the December 8th meeting, she keeps asking, and it sounds like maybe early January, but it's the state, who knows?
we were supposed to get it at the end, September 30th.
Right.
That guaranteed, I was told, September 30th.
The
October.
designation?
November. No, ELOC.
So Elizabeth, you-
Executive Office of Housing and Livable
Well,
Communities.
so I do think
Oh.
that they are ratcheting it up a little bit, cause Maura Healy's been all over the ADU stuff. So that is definitely coming to the forefront. So I think all of this housing stuff, hopefully, they can get the finalized draft. Cause once we have that, then we know what we're working with.
there's a lot of talk on ADUs constantly.
Ton of talk on ADUs.
Elizabeth, you probably might have heard this one. Obviously, the state is getting involved in a design of ADUs. In other words, coming up with a package of different designs, all set to go. So developer can just pick up the package and build an ADU.
The Cape Cod Commission did that last year. I believe in the regional
Is it Cape Cod Commission?
housing. Yeah, I think they put one. I know they've got, I haven't looked at it in a while, but I believe they put,
But this sounded like they were
some
working
in,
on it.
but that would,
They definitely are. I think.
I know.
It's a contest to design ADUs.
Yeah, it's-
Oh,
it's-
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's like, why every time you have to go to an architect and pay an architect's fees
Right.
to draw up a set of plans for a one-bedroom, one-bath ADU? Come on, give me a break.
There are pre-made ones.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of them. They're gorgeous. I walk in, I'm like, yes, this is all I need. Okay, so how about in 2020, the last paragraph?
Oh, I didn't mean to change it.
No, I think we should. That's why I brought it in. In 2026, the committee would like to focus primarily, no, because we have to do a lot of things, would like to focus on finding alternative funding.
Additional funding? Additional funding.
Yeah.
Additional funding sources.
Mhm.
I'd like to, the committee would also like to focus more on communications besides the housing fairs, other ways to reach out to the public. And then say, we will continue to work on, tools. So then it's like, and then we'll continue to work on further on use of the Homes Act, the Seasonal Communities Act, and then put that stuff like at the bottom, and then say, as always, the committee will continue to support. Does that sound right?
It does.
It starts with,
You can
so it would be.
You can throw that through AI too, and then
Yeah.
it'll clean it up probably.
In 2026, the committee would like to focus, the committee will, not would like, we're gonna. Committee will focus on finding additional funding sources. We will the committee would also like to focus more on communications. Besides the housing fairs, the website, and attendance at local meetings, we want to find other ways to reach out to the public. 3,